How do you see yourself applying AI, or what's the pattern that you're seeing?
The way that we're thinking about it at Berkeley is there's three categories of use cases at a high level. So there's the defend use cases, extend, and upend. Upend is when you transform the whole industry. We're honestly not probably going to do that. Defend is what you're all using AI for, probably what I'm using it for, productivity. And that's, you have to defend, because if everyone starts using it and you don't, you're going to sort of fall behind. So to maintain your competitive advantage individually and also as an organization, you've got to support. We've got to get those tools out in everyone's hands for personal productivity, for department level stuff. The more interesting category for an enterprise is the extend one. So we have all these business processes. And if you've been a student, you know it's not necessarily optimal. And there's like delays and this person sends you to that person. So automation is not something that naturally matches in a place like Berkeley. So what we're looking for is what are the use cases where we can reduce pain. And really, I was actually at a UC-wide meeting, and that was the number one thing fundamentally. The hardest part is what use cases are going to bring the most value. This isn't really for most of the people in the enterprise. They can play a role because this is not a technical problem. Universities generate a lot of intellectual property and make deals with people who license that technology to them. We're terrible at this. We're terrible at collecting the money. We're terrible at remembering the deals we made. So at a university, I won't name their name, had this problem and they felt like they weren't capitalizing on this. They've been doing these agreements for 25 years. They hired a person. They're like, we don't have enough money to hire them for really more than a year. Maybe they can get through 3 years of agreements and see if we should be enforcing these better. The person said, oh, I'm going to use this new deal that we have with an AI provider. And they were able to go through 25 years of history and auto-generate collection letters and identify where they weren't enforcing it. And they generated $2.5 million of revenue. They began that collection of money within 6 months of them starting.
We have a lot of internal tools for different purpose: planning, design, testing, operation. And those tools have very sophisticated UI. And other people find it difficult. Some tools maybe just 5 people are using it, even though 2,000 people want to use it. So now the AI can help to convert just verbal, just like chatbot type of interface, and to call those tools to use that tool. We also find that when those tools generate results, and we bring that result back to the GenAI, GenAI tools can construct a very meaningful reply to the users to help to connect the dots or help very clearly give an answer.
We have to look at and really understand what is driving the AI infrastructure trends. And that gives us some insight into how to use it as a business as well. Now with generative AI, there's a whole host of new use cases that we're rolling out, a lot of which are in the POCs. One interesting finding was that the tools really aren't where they need to be for us, at least. The number one use case from our engineers, they said that actually writing code is not good, but it's really good at writing comments. So that actually saved like 20% productivity for our software engineers. I came out to California right in the middle of the .com boom, which now the AI boom, it kind of reminds me in a way of that time. Hopefully there won't be as big of a bust. The first of the companies had the best engineering team of all 3 companies, and it failed because we didn't have product market fit. We weren't able to pivot when we developed a product into something that customers wanted in enough volume to sustain the business. It's hard doing startups. It can be quite demoralizing the number of times that you either hear no or you just don't hear yes. I mean, oftentimes in my experience when I was out trying to raise capital, everyone wanted to follow, but no one wanted to lead. It was very interesting. Call me when you have a term sheet. I heard that like a million times. One of the really important things I think if you're trying to raise money is to understand the thesis of the investor. What are they looking for in their portfolio? Don't waste your time trying to convince someone who only invests in software platforms to invest in your energy juice. Find the right investors for what you're trying to sell, and you'll have a much easier time. You have to fail 10 times to succeed. There's going to be a lot of naysayers. There's going to be a lot of people who don't believe in your vision, and your vision is probably wrong at first. But your conviction and your passion, that's what you can bring to the table. And if you're willing to pivot as you learn from customers and refine your idea, then you should be able to have.
Very too excited to meet with startup. But to be honest with you, I don't want to go to many of those meetings. I ask some question about specific our industry work, right? What's our process, what's our tools? Then they don't really know. Then we lose interest versus you want to come into the big company, get support. I think you need to do some homework, go to those conferences because you can really hear a lot of talk about what's the real challenge we have.
The number one piece of advice is fall in love with the problem, not the solution. A lot of ed tech companies come and want to sell me something, and they don't know enough about how things work, the point that they're at, be able to create something that I could have someone buy. Many big companies are fairly decentralized, so you need to know who has the line authority to buy your thing, and what are the constraints that they have, and really understand their pain points. People don't do enough research. They get an idea in their head and they think, I'm going to build this thing. It's this cool. I've been a student. I know how I can fix it. But until you really understand from the inside more, you won't have a champion. So to get your first couple of companies, to where I see the companies that don't kind of make it is they don't get traction. People may like part of the idea, but there's barriers to adopting it. So if you can break through that and understand how to get your idea initially adopted, that's the number one step. Because a lot of times people like us, we don't want to go to a meeting where we have to disappoint someone and be like, I can't buy this thing. What I do love going to meetings where people are actually just trying to understand how something can fit in, because then they can go and then figure out how to build it. We need to get out of our bubble and go explore entrepreneurial opportunities. We're all tilling the same ground. And I think then we're all going to have 100 competing things that are pitching to one VC. Whereas if you go somewhere where there's not a lot, you can find that connection between tech capabilities and places that maybe haven't not found that yet. There's a lot of opportunity.
GenAI is great, AI is great, we're continuing to use more and more of that. But a lot of companies have a lot of data, and the GenAI is not that good with data, with numbers yet. Every day we struggle with that, how to better understand and use it.
There is so much incredible opportunity out there related to what the new foundational models can do and deliver. I encourage everyone to think about the opportunities 5 or 10 years in the future and don't focus on what's been missed, but what's possible.